Yo, what's good, boys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys, and today we're doing another team review. On the screen here, you can see the team I ended Weekend Classic with, something like this. Did not mind the squad at all. I don't feel like really anybody let me down, other than maybe Willie Castro. He's just had a rough go of it, though. Still running Mets. I think this is the new best pitching rotation. Skubal and Burns, you could definitely trade out for maybe Johan, Kershaw, Ubaldo, maybe Kluber if you're on Legend. CC's obviously still pretty decent. I think there's a couple other pitchers that maybe I just don't own, but that's what I ended up rocking with. This is the bullpen I ended up rocking with, and now we're gonna see what you guys were running. We have also gotten our first or our ranked split has reset, so we've got that to look forward to. Probably a stream tonight, trying to go get that new Tatis because he looks absolutely phenomenal. So first team of the video, we're gonna have FallenSilence here. 550, 650, 400k sub. So we got good comms. We got a skill rating, we got stubs. All right, let's see what we got. So, straighten this up a little bit. Something like that. All right, so we got Willie, Griffey, Beltran in the outfield. Correa, Marte, George Brett, Headley, Simmons, and Raleigh. So, a lot of catchers, a lot of switch hitters. Not too shabby. I mean, in theory, this is, it gets really hard to do these team reviews at this point because, everybody's got 99 overalls and switch hitters everywhere. I personally benched Griffey because his defense wasn't really there. Maybe that's just because I don't have him super fractured. So, maybe yours plays perfect defense, mine not. I do not feel like hitting lefty-lefty with George Brett to play first base is that worth it. But if he's raking for you, then I don't mind it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the lineup. Like, I don't personally love Chase Headley's swing. I don't love Ted Simmons' swing. But other than that, I can't really argue with the lineup. I think it's crazy to not get Manny in there somewhere with how he played for me this weekend. But I get that some people view him as having a worse swing than the one earlier in the year. Dog, we gotta get this, like... Is it only this one? Okay, it might only be his screenshots. Yeah, it's like only his screenshots are like out. I guess it's the mobile ones. So we've got Randy, Skubal, CC, Corbin, and Outlighter in the starting rotation. And then bullpen wise, we've got Miller, Duran. I think Duran's pretty bad. Gossage, I think you might struggle with depending on what what method of pitching you use. If you use pinpoint or pure analog, I think with pinpoint you might struggle with Goose, but you're welcome to try. And let's see, so he included his order. I don't think there's too much I would change. I mean, if you have George Brett batting third for you, then yeah, I'm not gonna argue with it. If he performs for you, and then I would kind of question Griffey a little bit. Batting seventh is kind of crazy. But a pretty traditional lineup structure. His handedness are split up because he's got so many switch hitters, so it'd be hard for them to not be. And then, yeah, I mean, at this point of the year, other than just like having a like stereotypical leadoff hitter, fast, can steal bases, stuff like that, I can't really tell how your lineup is because quality-wise, all the hitters are pretty much the same. So. It's a pretty good squad. I don't know if I would go out and just blow 400k on anything. You already have Randy. I think he's kind of the luxury buy right now. I'd probably stay away from Bismacky for what he costs, especially since we just got a new Josh Gibson today that looks pretty crazy. So I mean, I think you're chilling. If you're seeking improvement, I can tell you it's not your team. You just gotta see ball, hit ball a little better. But I don't think I would change too much. If you're slumping with Correa, I'd just cut him, and there's too many good options at his position. Like, I think the new Tatis that comes out today will just pretty much be a direct upgrade for most people. So maybe that's something you look at, but I'd probably wait for his price to come down. So pretty solid little team there. Rampdownandchill, 800 rated, 200,000 stubs. It feels scummy for having switch hitters. I don't know how you can feel scummy for having switch hitters when every online game you load in, it's all you're gonna see. So you got to hit the nuclear option at a certain point and just rock out with it. Really bad with Bautista, Posada. He's bad with Posada? There's no way. That's insane. So untouchable is Ryan Sandberg and Bellinger. Dog, I wish I could just like hold up. All right, let's see if that goes any better. All right, so don't know what to do with the bench. I mean, the bench is pretty much just captain boosts at this point, unless you're tripping that hard over having like a pinch runner in a late game scenario for like Posada or Cal Raleigh. You know, the bench doesn't really matter that much, or unless you're rostering like primary handed guys you'd want to pull. Just sold Randy for stubs. Okay. So let's see. Lineup wise, what we got here? Bellinger. Having Ryan Sandberg is untouchable is crazy. Well, I can tell you why you're broke. Because you bought into the Bismacky hype at 400K. So I mean, if he's still going for anything, I would sell him. I don't view him as that special. We just got a 99 Chris Bryant, where a ton of people really liked that Chris Bryant from earlier in the year. So I think he's going to be a really good third base option. Chipper's due for 99 at some point. You think maybe J-Ram gets another card. It might just take until Finest, but you would think he'll get another card at some point. I think there'll be other third basemen. The new Tatis just came out. I'm sure he wouldn't be complete trash to just run at third base. So I think you got options. I'm just not. If Biz was like 200K, 150K, something like that, I'd kind of understand it. I think we're also entering kind of the staleflation point of the game, where all the new cards just go for a ton because nobody wants to actually grind, right? They just want to queue up 2 or 3 ranked games and wait until the next content drop. So around this point in the year, you start to notice prices go up on a lot of these cards, like even with Randy and Jackie Robinson. You know, earlier in the year, we saw very comparable, like top of the meta cards go for 100K, 150 from Weekend Classic. Now these are 200 because a lot of people aren't playing enough to get to a high division to where it's relatively easy to get those cards. And B, they're just top of the meta and everybody feels like they have to have them and nobody wants to actually grind Weekend Classic to get them. So you kind of end up where we're at right now, where every new card just costs a ton. So I'd probably just get out of Biz. I think there'll be better things to do with your stubs in the future. I think if anything, he's a more logical replacement for like Jose Bautista and Wright. So I think you got options. I don't know if I would just overhaul the squad. But you really wanted pitching advice. So I mean, yeah, the bench, like whatever, like pinch runner, switch hitter. Max out against lefties with bad clutch. I don't know if I would do one seal just because the clutch is bad. Yeah, you weren't lying. The starting staff is not great. I mean, they're not gonna perform awesome for you on Hall of Fame is really the issue. I think number one, I like Al Leiter better than everybody here other than Corbin Burns. So I think he is still better than a lot of these 99s that we're getting at this point. I don't love Kershaw. Johan can be all right. Just kind of depends on who you're playing against. I don't think Edward Cabrera is super good. And I'm not a huge Ubaldo fan either, but I haven't pitched him myself yet. It's just when I've seen him, I don't view him as anything too crazy. His splitter has pretty bad speed differences on it. Probably would not do Darren O'Day unless I was on Legend, so I'd probably hold back on that. And then I think Munoz is not particularly great either. I just wouldn't pitch him. I think he's just too readable. I think he's just too easy to hit. So that's where I would be at. That's what I would change. My advice is, I don't know. I don't know how much you want to grind the game at this point, but I don't think Biz is worth 350, 400k when you've only got 200 left. And I just feel like there's a new crazy card coming out every week, especially with some of these storyline cards. Like Charleston got a card today. He looks like an absolute dog. So yeah, I wouldn't buy into the Biz hype too much. We got Sash. I think this might be his first ever team submission. So we got to Diamond. I believe that's 900. Any advice, especially for pitching? So this will just have to do the. This will be relevant for his ranked split, not Weekend Classic. So we can see he's running. Is that his lineup submission screen? I guess it is. It works, I suppose. So he's running Babe. He actually went out and spent on Babe, which is probably also ill-advised. I'd be careful about buying these chase cards, right? Because they get super hyped. All the creators are like, oh, this card's perfect. And then, 1 week later, they half in value. So I'd be cautious about buying a lot of these chase cards up. Jorge at first is crazy. Probably wouldn't do that. Cattell, Leo DeVry, Biz. I mean, on the surface, nothing wrong with it. Two lefties, out of position first baseman, I think is absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we're rostering Babe Ruth when we have this Kyle Schwarber super fractured. If you just want to use a new card, cool. But I mean, this Babe doesn't even have that crazy of quirks, so don't view him as being that good. I don't mind the rotation. As soon you'll be on Legend if you're on 900. Obviously, everybody's going back to Hall of Fame now. I don't love Kershaw. I don't love Verlander, but if you're doing fine with either of them, then I guess just keep plugging. Let's see. I don't love Waldrop. I don't love Rogers. I think other than them, it's pretty solid. Again, I would kind of stress Darren O'Day, probably a Legend only guy. I probably would not be looking to bring him in on Hall of Fame too often. And then he included his lineup order, which yeah, like 300k, 350, 400k for Biz to bat him 8th. I just feel like there's so many other people. I mean, if you're not dying for Stubbs or something, but I feel like if I see Biz in somebody's lineup, I want to look in the top left and see that they have like 800k minimum after buying him. Like, I don't think he's worth all that. But structure-wise, nothing really wrong with it. We got Tokyo. Okay, he did not include too much. Okay. So we'll be nice about this. Jose Bautista, I think I could probably name 30 guys. You could be playing the Cedric Mullins in right field. It would be better than what you're doing with him. PCA, like the All-Star PCA is just better and is like 8K. So what are we doing here? 99 Schwarber's not hard to get at all. Like, if you have this Schwarber, that's literally half of like the 99 Schwarber you already have done. So I would question why you don't have him done. Altuve just got a 99 for free in a spotlight program. Maybe, let's see, 23rd. When was the 23rd? '23rd was that Saturday. So yeah, Spotlight Altuve had already came out. Or I think he was in the last monthly program. So I'm pretty sure he's been out. So I don't know. Yeah, I would get your priorities right. We got Kaden here. Platooning Manny with Kyle. Oh, sure. Willie for Ted. First righties late in the game. Any recommendations? 520K. So one of the bigger stacks that we've got so far. So this is a pure platoon here. He's running Profar. I think I just like full-time Pete Alonso over any amount of Profar. Like I'm good on Profar. And then he's running Joey Bats like full-time. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. The wheels just fell off for me with Joey Bats, so I'd be looking at a third baseman if I were you, probably. I don't really know who that would be. Like, there's always Headley, who I don't necessarily love. So I think this might be our first time on Showzone, this video. So going through third here, new Josh Gibson, always somebody to think about here. You can see he is 120, 112, 125, 125, 125. So very nice, has a ton of secondaries. Only downside is you are probably going to go deaf while using the card. So if that's a reason that I use them, then I get it. George Brett's probably not worth it. David Wright, I view as kind of similar to Bautista, where like stat-wise, almost a perfect third baseman, but the swing's probably not as great. Chris Bryant, this card looks pretty nice. 111, 112, 125, 109, 125 clutch. I think that's pretty close to Joey Bats, other than the clutch, I believe, on Joey Bats is obviously maxed out. But Bryant's just a lot faster too. So I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of people end up liking this card. Biz, I guess. I think you said you had like 500K. That's pretty much it. It's a pretty short list at third base. So that's probably what I would do. I don't love DeVries either, but you got options. You seem to be doing all right, so I'm not gonna sweat the hitting too much, but I feel like most people I've seen have not done well with Bautista, and they've kind of already phased him out of their lineups. So pitching wise, we've got Clem, Skubal, Randy, Wider, Burns, pretty typical. I think that is my exact rotation right now. Another guy with Waldrop, I don't love him. Duran, I think, is terrible, but he also diced me one game in Weekend Classic, so I really have no idea at this point. But pretty solid. Again, I think third base, third and first are probably your weakest spots. But if you're mashing, then you're mashing. We got Big J. 8 million stubs. Okay. All right. 8 million stubs? I need like photographic proof of that. 8 million stubs is crazy. Do we even believe that? Do we believe that's crazy if you're not a very high difficulty and you have 8 million? How would you have 8 million? Stub cap's 5. So unless you know how to store stubs, but I feel like if you know how to store stubs, I would just think that would go hand in hand with being like pretty decent, but maybe not. All right, so 8 million. I'd say you're doing a pretty good job, other than having Cal Raleigh out of position at first, where he's just going to drop putouts. So I would just play Biz at first if you really want Biz like that, and then catch Posada and DH Cal Raleigh is probably what I would do. I don't think George Brett's that crazy good. I think I would prefer somebody else over him. Maybe you run like Bernie in left, and then Bernie in left and move Willie Castro to third. That's probably what I would do. I would not be pitching Andy if I had every pitcher in the game. Andy would not make the short list. This is either the day Randy came out or the day before Randy came out. 23rd again? Yeah, so day after. So I would have Randy in here if you've just got stubs to blow through. No reason not having Randy. For a lot of people, it might just be worth waiting like these 2.5 weeks or so until the next Weekend Classic, until his price halves. But if you got 8 million stubs and are interested in fielding the best lineup, I'd probably have Randy. Another guy with Hurston, Joe Nathan, and I don't love Yon Duran. I think there's guys I would rather grab than those. Let's see. Nope, not that. There we go. All right. So my bullpen, let's see, who do you not have? You don't have Helsley, I think, or yeah, you do. No Felix. I think Felix is still really good. No Billy Wagner. I'm gonna assume he's locked behind a grind, so you can't get him. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough. I guess you are like kind of fielding the best. I would probably, you can buy Lee Smith, right? Yeah, Lee Smith is probably better to me than like a Joe Nathan. Just because I'd put more value on having that slow fork ball than anything else. But that's probably what I would change. I mean, dude, your starting staff is not good. Not a very high difficulty, so you kind of need outlier guys. So having like Kluber is pretty redundant. Having Jake Arrieta is not great. So these first 3 starters are pretty terrible. I'd go a different direction. Randy's one of them. Corbin Burns would probably be better for you on a lower difficulty. Just look for guys with outlier. I can't think of that many. I mean, Scooball, but you're gonna have to get, again, depends on how you pitch. If you use pinpoint, it's probably gonna take you a while to get used to them. But you need more outlier dependent guys. The big cube. All right, let's see. Well, I appreciate it. He is 600, 750. That's a pretty wide rating gap. Just got Beltron, 750K. Love Buxton. All right, Franco, any suggestion? Okay, this is a very solid team already, I feel like. Utley, I would say, is just not worth it at this point. I think there's so many other second basemen you could get. I think if you are running Mets, I like the Milestone Pete Alonso. I think the Milestone Pete Alonso is a phenomenal card, especially for a free card. I don't love Edgar. I think I'd probably just bat Caminero over him because I think his hitting attributes on average are higher. I wouldn't be shocked to find out he has better quirks. I think they're pretty comparable. I would lean more towards Junior. Let's see. I don't really mind anything else. Like Acuna is statistically not a very great card, but corner outfield is still pretty weak even after us getting like Bautista and stuff. So next up, we got his rotation. So we got Roger, John, first guy still running John, has Randy, has Ubaldo, has Scooble. That's interesting. I think there's definitely some concerns with John at this point and just how big of a PCI you're allowing your opponent to have. Especially because some of the ones I've been seeing recently on Hall of Fame, it's like a third of the strike zone. Like, it's ridiculous. It's the biggest Hall of Fame PCI sizes I think I've ever seen. And then Ubaldo, I'm not sure. Like, jury's still kind of out on him. I think both of them can be solid. I think everybody you could replace them with is not really going to be any better. Like, you know, CC, Kershaw, all of these like finesse lefties that they can run it up a little bit, but they're not ideal. They're not perfect pitchers. And I think that's kind of what you can say about Ubaldo and John, or at least this version of John is far from a perfect pitcher. Get Helsley in here. Helsley's definitely better than Darren O'Day at this point. He's better than Gagne at this point. He's probably better than Joe Nathan. Helps your Mets boost. Downside is you do have to go run a showdown for him. But I think he's worth it, absolutely. And then I don't love a lot of these arms, but at this point, you're either going back to like old favorites that are shut down, like Danny, or like for me, it's Devin Williams. I still think he just dices people for some reason. So I mean, as long as you're not rolling out like absolutely terrible guys out there, then I don't mind it. Like I'm sure Gagne probably has like a 0.05 ERA for you. Whereas for me, he'd probably have like a 2.5, 3.5. Something terrible. So if he works for you, then he works for you. However, I will say Darren O'Day is pretty non-negotiable. I would have him out of there, especially because he has a 99. That's not that hard to get. Like you could just go get the 99. That would be a little bit more understandable, but he's still not going to be great on Hall of Fame. Structure-wise, what we got? Back-to-back lefties is kind of a no-no unless you're pinch hitting, unless you're platooning Kyle Schwarber. If it is a lefty, because just having two lefties back-to-back, you're going to get absolutely fried. So, again, it kind of brings you back to, I don't think Chase Utley is ideal to be running right now. And then, you know, maybe you are platooning Schwarber with Caminero, and then that would make it a little bit better. DH in that Schwarber to bat him 7th is kind of crazy. I'd probably get him up more. I'm shocked that you feel like you're hitting better with Gil Hodges or Edgar. All right, so we got Zenominal. Appreciate it. Rolling with at the moment. Get World Series. Plays mostly on Hall of Fame. Stinks with Beltron. That's interesting. Looking at Biz. Yeah, so I don't love Biz, but I did say I'd like to see you have a pretty hefty stub stack if you are looking at buying him. I don't mind this lineup. I will say it's a lot of primary handed hitters with you know, Brett Griffey and Bautista. It's not the worst in the world, but I don't know. Like, to me, almost every righty at bat with Bautista just feels gross. Every lefty at bat with King Griffey's not felt great, and I haven't even been bold enough to play with George Brett. So I don't know. I don't love it. I don't feel like they're as strong as what they should be, just because of how many switch hitters we have, unfortunately. I'd look into Manny Ramirez. I think you would like Manny. Other than that, I don't mind it. I don't mind Headley at first. I was not a massive fan of that Leo DeVries card, but not gonna knock you because stat wise, there's really nothing wrong with him. He's just not anything insane. You got him batting leadoff. Must be doing pretty well with him. And actually, now since I think about it, I think every time I saw Griffey in Weekend Classic, I think I saw him 4 games. I think he homered every game off me. And 1 or 2 of the games, he was like 3 for 3. So clearly my opponents enjoy their Griffies, just not me. Let's see, starting staff-wise. So you say he's mostly Hall of Fame. I think mostly Hall of Fame with Corey Kluber is pretty sketchy. I think you can get away with it with Johan because his circle change is so slow. But I think mostly Hall of Fame to run Kluber out there every 5 games is pretty sketchy. You have him in your A spot. Some people are OCD about that, and some people aren't. So I don't know if that means he's your best pitcher or not. Be interested to know about that. But I do think he is probably your weakest link. Just looking at your rotation and knowing you're going to be on Hall of Fame. Rogers, not a huge fan of. I feel like you shouldn't have Rogers and Day in the same bullpen. I think you should pick one. You know, you could just have both of them, and they should pretty much never pitch in the same game because I feel like that look only works once against somebody. So I would not be eager to have either of them in my bullpen, much less both of them. So I'd probably cut out one of them. All right, so we got truly tremendous here. Let's see, 500 right now. I wonder if he means like he wins half his games and loses the other half, or if he means he's at 500. Because he went under there and said playing on All-Star. So, not sure. Not sure what you meant by that, but Beltron is unattainable. Okay. Did he say his stubs? He did not say his stubs. Pretty good lineup. He did go out and spin for Biz. I would hope you're nowhere close to like even 600k away from Beltron if you went and spent 400 on Biz. I feel like that's crazy. It's not bad. Like, you know, J-Ram is probably under the power that you'd want at this point. But other than that, I don't really mind the rest of the lineup. You do have 3 lefties, which is a lot at this point, but some starts you'll just get bailed because your opponent will want to start like Arietta or somebody. So there is kind of room for some decent starts. He did say he wants some help with like lineup construction. So he's got Biz lead off. I did that just to kind of see how I would hit with him. But you don't really have a traditional leadoff. Like, your traditional leadoffs would either be like J-Ram, Griffey, or Ellie. So unless you're willing to move one of them up to 1, you're never going to have like a traditional leadoff. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Biz's steal is not great. So that's kind of why for me, I would rather have like Ellie or Griffey. Or J-Ram is pretty fast too. I'd rather have any of them bat leadoff. Other than that, you have back-to-back lefties, which is pretty crazy unless you're platooning Schwarber. If you are not platooning him, you do not need to have lefties batting back-to-back. So figure that out would be my advice. And if you do end up doing Griffey leadoff, then you should probably move Ted Williams down to at least the 4 spot. So that's kind of my 2 cents there. Starting pitchers, Andy sucks. You said you're on All-Star, so I'll forgive Verlander because, you know, maybe you just want outlier guy. I feel like there's not that many in the game that just throw outlier 4 seams. So I don't hate him there. I don't hate Corbin. I like Skubal. Crochet I don't love or hate because, you know, some games the outlier sinker is really hard to hit and some games it's not. So that's kind of up in the air. Seth Pettit. I'd do CC. I mean, CC's probably your best option that I can think of off the top of my head. Just because, you know, CC can at least top out at 99 or 100, whereas a lot of these other 99s that have came out don't have outlier and just aren't going to hit that top end speed. He's also got pretty good speed differentials, which is kind of what you have to chase at All-Star. The new Gaylord Perry card that came out today would also be a pretty nice addition because I think he'll top out at like 97 and his fork ball will be like 82, something like that, I think. So he might be something that you should look into. Let's see, bullpen wise, Darren O'Day, no. If you're on All-Star, should not be pitching Darren O'Day. Other than that, I like it. It's fine. Goose is gonna be kind of rough for you to use, would be my guess. But so we've got Captain Jack here. All right, let's see. He did it a little bit backwards here. So again, not a huge Utley fan. I don't really like Shea Langoliers that much just because a lot of people were salty that I like left him off like the best infielders or top 50 or I forget what it was. I just don't think his stats are that great. Like we can go check it out real quick. Let's see. This one? Nope. There we go. So if we go look at Shea, 125 left is really it. Like that's really it with them. Like the clutch is all right, the defense is all right, but he's just very mediocre against righties where there's a lot of catchers that are like switch hitters and stuff. they're just probably going to perform better for you. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. That's why I don't love Langliers. Papa Bell on the left is interesting. He's basically like a slightly better Tim Raines, so I actually like him more in left field. I know for a while a lot of us were running him at first, but I do kind of like him in left field. I would just say it's a little bit of like a dated team. Like it's still like competitive, but you know, Chipper's probably reluctantly a little behind the curve at this point. I feel like this Acuna falls behind like every day. And then Cool Papa Bell and a lot of these low power guys like Ted Simmons get worse every single time somebody at their position with higher power comes out. So that's a little tough, especially at 500 rating. Like you can't really care about like speed and contact as much unless I find all-star players for some reason will care way too much about like speed and defense. When in reality, you just have to learn how to manage base runners. Like if you're getting stolen a lot, if you're, getting cheesed on the base pass and people are like stopping and like getting you in rundowns and like advancing other runners, you just gotta get better at doing that. Because really, on All-Star, the only attribute that matters for a hitter, within reason, is power. Obviously, you don't want to be running Joey Gallo out there at this point, but for the most part, you just need power. Still running John, that's fine, especially on All-Star. I feel like he's one of your better guys to get strikeouts there. Nate Pearson, not bad. Corbin, Ubaldo, Kershaw. I think the only name that really stands out where I'm kind of like, is somewhat Kershaw. I feel like Kershaw unfortunately works for some reason for All-Star players. I don't know why. I guess people just chase the circle change a ton and chase the curveball in the dirt a ton. Or they're just swinging very early on it. So I get that Kershaw tends to work out for all-star players for some reason. Ubaldo, I think, has some pretty bad speed. I mean, Corbin doesn't have great speed differentials, don't get me wrong. But at least he can run up like a 99 mile an hour cutter and get you some sawed-offs and just help you get some easy outs. Where I feel like Ubaldo's just not really going to do that for you with just an outlier sinker. So I'm not a huge fan of him on that difficulty. Bullpen wise, this Uribe card's terrible. I would not be running this Abner Uribe card whatsoever. Class A, I probably wouldn't run. Rogers, I would not run on All-Star. Jojo Romero, not great, and Darren O'Day, not great. So I think the bullpen is by far the worst part of this team, and I think you need to aim for some more guys like Rob Nin. I think Lee Smith would be really good for you. Lee Smith is literally just a way better Abner Uribe, because you're still throwing like the outlier fastball. You still have a slider, and he has like an 80 mile an hour forkball that's going to get you a ton of strikeouts. So it's night and day. I would get some of these guys out of the pen for sure. We got Ja here. Can't break through to 800, 150K, 4-0. Okay, so hopefully he clutched up and got Randy. Let's see. So only 2 lefties, so not too bad. I saw Jarren Duran and I got a little worried, but him and Bellinger, not the end of the world. A lot of switch hitters. Couple cards they're falling a little behind. I feel like Lindor's kind of rough at this point with his contact numbers. I think Ted Simmons' power was kind of bad even when he came out. I think Mickey's power shows up a lot. So I think some of these cards are getting a little bit dated, but definitely still solid. Let's see. Troy Melton. We got a Troy Melton enjoyer. So I am sensing a theme here with the starters. I do not like these starters, but this is not how I play the game. I can already tell you exactly how he plays the game. He throws perfect pitches 98% of the time, and tucks pitches in the corner a lot. I can just tell by the pitchers he uses, because I don't think there's another way for you to effectively use Maddox and Buchholz and Melton. So he's just tucking pitches in corners every time. So, it's not the way I pitch. I like to get more swing and miss stuff out of my guys. But, more power to you. Let's see. Bullpen, Duran, not awesome. Ben Joyce, wow, at this point is kind of crazy. I've a lot of mid going on here, I think. I probably wouldn't have Joyce at this point. And I would probably get away from Joe and Duran. I think he does have some really good per nines, so if that's why you're running him, then cool. But I don't feel like there's enough of a speed difference between the four seam and the splitter for me personally. Joe Nathan, always sneaky underrated, so I don't mind him. But I mean, as for like an actual suggestion, I feel like I can't even give one for like pitchers, because I don't pitch like that. He's also already got a ton of these guys like P5 to where, I don't know. I would think Ted Simmons would be the weakest link here. Ted or Jarren Duran, I think I would be looking to move off of one of those and find a replacement after this weekend classic. We got Royal up next. So here's this squad. Loving the swings. Open. Okay, so the bottom half of his lineup he doesn't love. Pitchers. Oh, yeah, go get Posada. I don't know why I forgot about Posada. 100% Posada for this team. Not even close. Put Clemens back in for Crochet. All right, so we got Posada, Ted Simmons, Willie Castro, Jimmy Rollins, Brett. I feel like I've seen this lineup a couple of times today, other than Cool Papa Bell and left. So prayers up. He's one of the bottom half guys he was talking about. He is not. He is locked in with Cool Papa Bell. Okay. Well, just first of all, I think you should split up George Brett and King Griffey a little more than what you've got going on right here. Because I think one space is not enough between them. And then he said he put in Clemens back in for Crochet. I don't hate it. He did not include his difficulty at all, though. I will say that. So without knowing your difficulty, it's a little tough to judge. I mean, seems like a lot of guys will be good on every difficulty, with the exception of Johan. I think Johan, you know, if it's not Crochet, it's Clemens. Johan, I think, can be decent on Hall of Fame. I think great on Legend, and I think just very mid on All-Star. So just depends on what difficulty you play on. Kind of the same for Darren O'Day, where I could see him being okay for you on Hall of Fame. He is a pitcher where if you told me he did good on All-Star, I wouldn't be surprised, because your opponent just swung at stuff 2 feet under zone and 2 feet over the zone, and he probably had a good outing. Hall of Fame, I feel like he's terrible. And then Legend, I feel like you can shrink the PCI enough to where he might be okay. Other than that, I don't mind the bullpen. Like, again, don't love Jarren Duran. Or not Jarren Duran, Johan Duran. But, you know, whatever works for you. He said he was down to replace the bottom half of his lineup. There's not that many replacements. Like, there's really no replacement for Jimmy Rollins. I mean, if you haven't tried DeVry, maybe you try him out a little bit, see if you like him more. But other than that, not really any suggestions over here. We got Chris. Where are we at? 43 minutes? Probably do like 2 more teams. All right, so Draft Conquest is still paying like that? That's crazy. Close to Bautista. Wonder if he's worth it. Probably not. It's a really fun card, but probably not. Okay, let's see. So he already got Posada. Say he's on Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, I love this lineup. I think it's really good. Assuming you're like platooning Schwarber, I think this is really good. Let's see. So I'm assuming you're platooning one of these since they're back to back. So assuming you're doing that, they're fine. Let's see. Starting staff. Like, I don't like Kershaw at this point, but it's whatever. Verlander P5 already is crazy. He did go get Randy, which I think is the right decision. I think everybody that hasn't already bought Randy has missed the boat, because I bought 2 of them at 220K after I sold mine, and he never went down for the whole weekend. So I bought 2 for 220. We'll see how that goes. I know he's like 250, 260 right now. So, you know, 2 weeks from now, when people are looking to buy the best pitcher in the game, wouldn't surprise me if he's like 350K, and a lot of people just kind of miss the boat. Lee Smith, Rogers. I think Rogers is a little suspect, especially for you not to be running Mets. I'd be careful with Goose, but some people fry with Goose, so I don't mind it. All right, bro, added the nerd emoji. Let's see. I don't like Biz. I don't like Biz, dude. Biz is just catcher Tim Raines, and I have to hear everybody gas up how good he is. He's all right. You know, I used him. He played okay for me. But he also didn't hit 2 home runs on pretty much perfect swings. So that's the game you play when you use batters that have like 90 power at this point, when there's pretty easily accessible guys that have, you know, 105, 110 power plus at their position. Another Posada at first, something I wouldn't do. Maybe we'll do that tonight in our ranked push and just see. Maybe by some miracle catchers find a run at first, but I kind of doubt it. So he's running Mets. I like the rotation. I think this is pretty much a perfect rotation. Wouldn't change too much with it. He included difficulty. He did not. So bad comms. Don't love O'Day if you're not on Legend. Other than that, looks pretty good. I'd probably just put Helsley in for him. He gets Mets boost. I think you can do some good stuff with him. So I'd probably do that. And then our final one, I think, is going to be Millie. And I'll probably go through some of these and replace them. Or reply to them, not replace them. Yeah, we got a lot. All right, Millie, let's see. 600, 700, 75K stubs, positions. Okay. So he's more so curious about like his pitching. We'll go over the you know, general roster. I don't love David Wright. You've got him P2. You know how you're doing with him. Other than that, I like everybody else. So you're asking if this is good for All-Star with the potential to be on Hall of Fame? Yeah. So mostly All-Star with some Hall of Fame. No, probably not. It is weird that you said, I think, Skubal and Clemens, is that who you said wasn't getting it done for you? I feel like that's crazy. If you're on Hall of Fame, I kind of get it, because you don't have to have outlier, and some of these control guys might shine a little more. But for me, like, I want the outlier. So there's not really that many other guys to go for. You could try maybe like Ubaldo. I've seen Ubaldo a lot today. And in theory, he's kind of like a right-handed crochet. So you could try him out. Especially since he's a lot cheaper now. Bench picture, cold. Alright, let's see. Mark Davis, I don't like at all. Rogers, don't love. Yohan Duran, don't love. Let's see. He included his lineup structure, so we'll go over it. It's not bad. Nothing wrong with it. Don't mind it. Let's see. Lineup structure at this point of the year, it's like, do they have a fast leadoff batter? And do they have some of their better hitters in the middle of the lineup? And that's pretty much it. Like, there's not a whole lot to check since everybody's a switch hitter. Really, you like O'Day on your difficulty? Yeah, I mean, Mark Davis should be replaced. And I don't like Duran, but all right, we'll do one more. That was a quick one. We'll do Imperfectisms. All right, interesting. All-Star 900K. Everybody got stubs at this point. No wonder Biz is 400K. Just got to Wagner. Okay. There will definitely be better cards than Jose Bautista pretty soon. So I wouldn't feel like you're completely missing out. A lot of people that bought him are not using him. I think he's miles better than like Scott Rowland was when he came out, but it's also a different point in time, right? A 99 right now does not mean as much as what a 99 4 months ago did. It's interesting. It's a very colorful lineup. It's very colorful. So he's running. Is he running tier 2 Mets? I don't know if tier 2 Mets is worth it. I'll be honest. I don't know if you're running tier 2 Mets. I don't think you have to have a full bench and be running Cedric Mullins and Lindor. I feel like if you have enough of those in the field, you don't need to be running them. Also, if you are running tier 2, I would be running the Pete Alonso captain card instead of the milestone one, probably. So just a little something for you there. Let's see. So he wanted help with pitching. There's really not that much. Like, there's just not a ton of outlier guys right now, or at least not outlier four-seam guys. Like, you could definitely go try Edward Cabrera and Ubaldo, but I'm not expecting them to be exceptional because they don't have outlier four-seam. They have outlier sinker. So I just don't see them being that great anyway. I mean, I think you're doing all right with what you got. What new players? Posada. Definitely Posada. You know, if you were going to splurge in one way, it would be Posada. And if Cal Raleigh's been great for you, awesome. You found your new DH. If, you know, he's been terrible, then cool. There's a very comparable stat-wise catcher that has a way better swing that you can replace him and not feel too guilty about getting rid of Cal at this point. We'll do one more. See, this is the problem with team reviews, because a lot of people just organically submit theirs, and then I'll like do a stream titled like stream review tomorrow, and then everybody just floods it. So if you don't resubmit, you kind of get skipped out on. So I think that's an issue with it. But then again, if I go from the back, you know, new content, people have hit investments, they've spent their stubs, so it's kind of tough. So we got TK Rio here. 700, 800, 30K off first boss pack. Okay, so we'll assume we got Randy. The stub situation sounded a little dire, so hopefully he clutched in Weekend Classic and got Randy. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I think Sale sucked. I would just replace him with Randy, is what I would do. But I'm not super high on Kershaw either, so I'd replace probably one of those. I think you said you don't like Kluber? Hate pitching with Kluber. Yeah, I mean, Ubaldo, maybe, from like the Rewind Pack or something, is probably going to be one of your better options. Or I've grown to enjoy Corbin Burns, where he's just solid more times than not. I think a lot of that is how bad the servers are, but I don't mind it. What difficulty? 700, 800. Would not be pitching Darren O'Day. Would not be pitching Mason Miller. I think if you just want pure outlier guys, like you can go run Helsley. He just gives you more than what Mason Miller does. And then Darren O'Day, I think there's a million other righties I'd rather run on Hall of Fame personally. Let's see, lineup wise. Another Posada at first. I'm gonna have to try Posada at first, I guess. Yeah, I don't hate it. I think Bernie's bat is a little weak to be a DH personally. So I'd probably rather just pick between like him and Griffey or him and Ted and just hit like Kyle Schwarber full time. But I mean, it's up to you, really. But I don't mind it. It's just there's a lot of commitment here, right? Like you locked in for Cal, you locked in for Posada, you probably locked in Bernie to get Posada, and you locked in for Bautista and locked in for like you got a lot of commitment to all of these cards, so it's hard to really tell you to replace any of them. But you seem to be doing all right. I think the pitching is just kind of what needs a little more love from you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I got to your team. If I did not, we're going to try to be a little more frequent with team reviews. I know I've been slacking a little bit. But until next time, peace.